She places the tray on the table in front of him and scratches the back of her hand. He looks at her, smiles, thinks about talking to her. As she empties the ashtray and replaces the dirty mugs with full ones. As she runs the dingy cloth over the tea-stained surface, he sits with his hands on his thighs, trying to avoid touching the dried-up wads of chewing gum stuck to the underside of the table. She drops the cloth. He leans over and picks it up with both hands. He notices her wedding ring as he sits up. He smiles again and gives her the cloth. As he does so, his bracelet rattles against the table. He nods and she picks up the tray. And he checks his trousers. See, they hadn't ridden down because he doesn't wear a belt. The door opens and Harry Lee walks in. He walks over to the table and sits down opposite him.
"Sorry about that," says Harry, shoveling his phone into his inside pocket. Harry takes a sip from his chipped mug. "Now, you were telling me about the girl."
Well, there's nothing to tell," he says. I met her the other night at the hotel bar. She was friendly and pretty. She let me buy her a drink and we chatted for a bit."
"Did anything happen?"
says Harry. He slurps his tea. Not really," he shrugs. I gave her my card and she left shortly after."
"Well, what did you talk about?" says Harry.
Not much. He shrugs again and looks at the cigarettes.
"Not much," says Harry. "Well, you said she was pretty. Did you arrange to meet her again? Did you get her number?"
He shakes his head and picks up the pack of cigarettes and wipes his wrist on his trousers and pulls the waistband with both hands.
"Losing your touch?" says Harry, pushing the box of matches across the table.
Well, that would imply I had touch to begin with. Thanks. He lights the cigarette, clutches it to his mouth, and takes a deep drag. He glances at the clock on the wall. Harry catches his look. Will they have noticed that you aren't here?" Probably not. It's always the same when I'm in the region. No one in the UK is up yet, and the team will assume I'm in meetings. I'm supposed to take them out for a drink tonight, but other than that, I'd be surprised if they missed me.
"Well, do you always stay at the Shangri-La?"
He nods. I like the bar, although if the upper house was on the corporate list, I'd stay there every time. He takes another drag. How long you been here, Harry?
"Well, I came over from Beijing a year before the handover. I've been here ever since."
Has it changed much?
"Well, in some ways. But in others, it's still the same place it was when your lot ran it. I think it will always be more British than Chinese."
The two of them sit there in silence, and Harry glances at the girl who cleared their table. She sits by the door and pretends not to notice his look.
"This girl," says Harry. You said she called you. Well, when was that?"
Last night. I was surprised, to be honest with you. I didn't think she was interested."
"Well, what did she say?"
He stubs his cigarette. She said she wanted to meet."
"At the Shangri-La?"
He nods.
"Well, why did she change her mind?"
I don't know, he says.
"So what happened?"
says Harry. She didn't turn up. She said she was on her way, but that was the last time I heard from her."
"So, you drowned your sorrows in the bar," says Harry through a smirk.
Something like that, he says. He turns his head towards his shoulder and wipes away the sweat from his top lip with his crumpled shirt. He catches sight of her, sitting near the door, and watches as the ceiling fan cools her. She has her hair tied in a ponytail, and she leans back slightly so that the breeze blows her face and neck. She wears a crisp white blouse with the first two buttons undone, revealing her slender neck and a simple silver chain. He follows the line of the blouse as it disappears into her gray pencil skirt, which drapes over one side of the chair, partially obscuring the formica seat and the chrome legs that have been peeled back to the rust beneath by humidity. He notices her shoes, and they look out of place on the cheap plastic floor tiles. He wonders how she affords them on her salary. And then he notices the wedding ring again. He wipes his top lip with his shoulder once more and thinks about the girl from the bar.
You're hungover.
Oh, I'm not hungover. I'm just tired.
Look at you. You're sweating, says Harry.
Oh, it's hot, that's all, he says as he reaches for his cup.
What happened to your hand? Harry says as he points to his knuckles.
Yeah, I had a bit too much to drink, he says.
Well, it looks like you were in a fight.
He shrugs and glances at the clock and then at the cigarettes. So I got into a fight at the bar. So what? You know, like you said, Harry, Hong Kong will always be more British than Chinese. Harry reaches inside his pocket and pulls out a photo, and he places it on the table.
Is this the girl?
Harry says. His eyes widen as he stares at her lifeless form, her slashed throat, and her punched-in eye. I don't understand, he says. What happened to her? Detective Sergeant Harry Lee reaches over and presses the pause button on the tape recorder, then turns to the girl who gets up to open the holding room door. She smooths her skirt, switches off the fan, and then picks up the bag containing a tie, a belt, shoelaces, and she nods at Harry Lee and leaves. We found her body at 3 a.m., 2 blocks from your hotel. Your number was the last one she called. He struggles to get a cigarette from the packet. As he does so, the handcuffs rattle the table. Tell me about the girl, he says.